Hello, everybody. All right. We are going to get started with our Astro energy forecast for the upcoming week. And my name is Camille Craft. I'm the owner and creator of Vital Mystic. I'm so happy to be here with you all. I do these every Tuesday around 10 a.m. And I just talk about the upcoming astrology, how best to use it for this week, and what to be prepared for. So, if you can't stay for the whole thing, we save them both on YouTube and on the Instagram platform, so you can come back and listen when you are going on your walks or you're in traffic or whatever. So, with that said, we are now going to get into the astrology for this week. And basically, we're writing this Leo season. Hi, Megan. Good morning. Aw, thank you so much. I'm so grateful for you guys. So, um, we have like the height of Mercury retrograde coming this week. And what I mean by that is that there is a breakthrough that is going to happen. A lot of times, I just want to preface this, sometimes our breakthroughs are not pretty. You know what I mean? We would like them to be all glorious and amazing, but sometimes they come through as surprises. Sometimes they come through as a truth that was unveiled. Sometimes they come through like, well, can't sweep that one under the rug anymore. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that and ultimately how to work with that energy, how to work with anything that might be heightened in your life as well. Thank you. Yeah, so happy for you to be here as well. So, okay, this week we begin with Moon in Libra. It's a waxing moon in Libra. Brings up relationships, brings up harmony, brings up justice, brings up all sorts of things. Whatever house, that is in your chart, that's going to be amplified right now. A waxing moon in Libra, incredible time to call in partnership, but because Mercury is retrograding right now, what I would say is thinking about your relationships and thinking about, okay, like what are the places or the lessons or the identities that I'm still dancing with that are kind of causing this in my relationships, right? What are the things that ultimately, feeling at my worst and best in the very moment. How's that possible? It's duality. Yeah. So ultimately with that essence, it's like, okay, like how can I move through the things that are within, right? If I want to see harmony outside of me, what am I still fighting with on the inside, right? I don't have control over what people say, how people act, what they do in my life. I have no control over that, but I do have control over what is going on in here, right? What is happening? Oops, we're paused. Hold on. Do, 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 do. Let's see if we can come back. Uh, let's see if we can come back really quick. There we go. Try that again. I see the comments coming, but it still says reconnecting for some reason. Okay. I might come off and then go. Oh, there we go. Okay, perfect. All right, we'll just Mercury retrograde. So, with that said, a big thing that comes up in Mercury retrograde or anything is projection, right? Projection, we think the way that we feel about somebody else is not really how we feel about ourselves. And so, during this time, one of the most alchemical things that you can do is really retrace things back from within. I don't have, like I said, I don't have control over what's happening in the world. I don't have control over what this person said to me or that person or what so and so thinks or whether this person ghosted me or whatever it is. But what I do have control over is the narratives that are spinning in my head and all the reasons or things that are happening in response to that. So I want you to ask yourself, is there an antagonizing thought or something that has been coming up over the last 2 weeks that maybe has just felt like a little pebble in your shoe? It's not something super strong. It's not something like, hey, I'm in your face, but it's just been kind of like hovering there. Maybe it's been hovering there for a minute. And that's the thing that we're going to extrapolate this week. Because ultimately, when we have this Cazimi on Thursday, that's the breakthrough, right? The breakthrough is through a breakdown. It's through the ability to get get curious about why we have certain thoughts or why we have certain feelings or why we are moving through things or holding that duality. And the biggest thing that I can always recommend everybody is that just get curious, right? We don't need to make it mean something about ourselves. We don't need to make it mean that we're a bad person or a good person or that this is bad or this is good. It just is, right? It just is. And when we can take that opportunity to get curious, we can actually have a moment of, wait, why do I care so much about this, right? Or what is that narrative? What is that kind of pebble in my shoe that's been hanging around? What is that cupboard that I've been putting so much shit into that I need to actually look at and pull all that crap out because I never use it anyways, right? I want you to think about that because ultimately, where this is in your chart, where Leo is in your chart, we're going to hit the peak of something on Thursday. We're going to hit a peak of a breakthrough. And opportunities through breakthrough mean expansion. This is a recalibration. This is like the universe saying, yo, you're not going to go where you want to go carrying this shit with you. You're not going to. Like, it repels it, right? So, this is your opportunity to kind of get curious. It's not that you don't deserve something. God damn it. I'm just like, this poor connection. I'm going to keep going. Um, it's not that you don't deserve it. It's not that, that it's not really for you. It's that it's the piece where we start to reclaim our power around the stories that we tell ourselves. So let's see if this thing wants to come back and we will see. I don't know why it's just, let's try again. It's gonna come back eventually. Okay, there we go. We're just gonna try to keep going. Um, just like that. See? Just like this whole live situation where my internet keeps pausing because it's Mercury retrograde, you're gonna keep going. With that said, so we have this Mercury Cazimi retrograde on Thursday, July 31st, right? It is a time to end some cycles, some stories, some identities, pull out that cabinet you haven't looked at, right? And it could be just something that's kind of antagonizing. It might be even subtle. It might not even be something that somebody said to you directly, but it's kind of like if I didn't hold this belief or I didn't hold this narrative, who would I be? What would I be doing? How would I be moving in my life and my business? How would I be moving in the world? Right? What is that subtle thing that's kind of always comes back, right? Because ultimately, when we are moving through the height of a retrograde and a Cazimi, what a Cazimi means is that the planet that is coming into the heart of the sun, it gets amplified, right? So it's just all of this energy. So it's like you can't hide it under the rug, right? You can't sweep that shit anymore. You can't even deny it anymore. It's to the point of something has come to light that you can't deny. And so we have to pull it out, right? We have to pull that thorn out that maybe has gone numb over time, but it's still fucking there. You know what I mean? We need to sit down. I always get this analogy of like when you're really like you're running or you're really enjoying something or you're like at a concert and all of a sudden this tiny little pebble goes into your shoe and you're like, oh, it's just rolling around in there and you're like, but I'm having such a good time and I don't want to stop or I don't want to cause a stop or anything like that. Sit the fuck down and pull it out, right? That's the energy of this week. Like sit down. You don't need to carry it. You're going to be much happier with it without it. So think about that. What belief, thought, or narrative am I telling myself that is antagonizing my expansion? If I did not have that belief, story, narrative, and or identity anymore, who would I be? What and how would I be moving into the world? How would I be shining in the world? What would I be choosing in this moment? Would I still be brake pedaling because I'm worried about what Sally's going to think of me on the internet? Would I still be brake pedaling because this asshole who didn't get back to me, hopefully one day he'll come back? What am I doing? Like where am I still kind of subtly giving and dancing with that, right? How can I allow myself to come into that the new narrative, the new identity of who I am and allowing for that to transcend? Am I still telling that same story? So that is going to be on Thursday, the 31st. On the 30th, I'm doing this a little backwards, Venus will move into Cancer. And so Venus will move from Gemini Gemini is duality in relationships. Gemini is curious, want to connect, but it can also bring in shadow and light, right? Shadow and light. When Gemini is in balance, it's shadow and light. It's like, I see this, you see that. We're not going to come into the center. Cancer, though, Cancer comes in, and Venus in Cancer is like, you need to ground back into your heart. You need to ground back into the understanding that every single person is a human trying to figure it out. And we all have shit, right? So when Venus comes into Cancer, I want you to get so deep into the energy of your heart that it is a sanctuary for you, right? And so when we think about this, the cave of the heart and the energy of the heart is really powerful because it can transmute what is happening up here, right? And if I was the most compassionate person towards myself, if I actually saw who I was, if I really, really loved who I was, what stories would I be saying? And when Venus moves into Cancer, it is about deep, harmonious connection. It is about mothering the soul. It's about mothering the dreams. It's about receiving because you are, not because of what you do or what you represent or all the things that you've accomplished. You receive because you are already worthy, not because of the things that you have to be or where the way that you're accepted in a certain place. And when we can start to open up that, then it starts to transmute our identity. Then we start to look at things like, oh, actually, maybe the things that are happening that I don't really like that are happening in my life that feel uncomfortable are actually for me right now. Maybe there are some doors that are closing in my life right now. Maybe there are some chapters and ways of being that feel really uncomfortable. Maybe those that pulling out that freaking clutter cabinet or not sweeping it under the rug anymore is actually going to give me the expansion and freedom to receive more, right? So for me to be able to create something I haven't received before, I have to allow myself to receive it in the first place. I have to make space for it. So I would like you to go ahead and think about that because on the same day, Chiron goes retrograde, and Chiron is the wounded healer, and it's going to go retrograde. It's going to join Saturn and Neptune in Aries, which is about your personal power. It's around your personal identity. And it's around like, who am I really, right? Like, am I like, what are the pieces that need to lay to rest? What are the things that I'm going to send out? I'm going to like send out into this retrograde. I'm going to move through in this retrograde that don't have a place for me once Mercury goes direct, right? Once Mercury goes direct, it's full speed ahead. We get into eclipse season, it's incredible fall, all of those beautiful things. So I want you to think about that. It's like the analogy of what are the things, what's the thorn that I need to pull out, right? What is that rock that I need to sit down, get curious about, find it, and pull it out once and for all? Because if I didn't have that antagonizing thought, or if I didn't have that subtle energy, if I didn't have that projection, or if I didn't have that freaking story rolling around in my head or that belief rolling around in my head, who would I be? What would I be doing? What would I be accomplishing? Where would I allow myself to go? Right? And that's the piece here because that Mercury retrograde in Cazimi, it literally is about your freedom. And freedom comes from within, right? We can be so many different ways, right? With so many different ways that we could not be free, but ultimately the control that we have is here in our heart. If we can set ourselves free through the expansion of our heart by linking it to our mind and allowing for the narrative of the heart to connect to the mind, then that's literally what they say enlightenment is. So I want you to think about that. What is the story that my heart is ready to tell? Because Leo rules the heart. And then how can I expand that and receive that and allow myself to be enough as I already am? What are the fears or projections that are antagonizing me, but where can I allow my heart to outshine the shadows of the mind? Where can I allow my heart to outshine the shadows of the collective? Where can I allow them to outshine what has happened to me? Where can I allow for this moment of my presence to be the ripple effect of that changes the DNA and structure of my identity? Because the person who receives the desires that you're calling into your life, they have no doubt in their being, not a single fucking drop of doubt that they are worthy. And ultimately, that is the essence. You are already worthy. That desire would have never been planted in your heart if you weren't. That's the reality of it. And if you know that and you allow for that desire, you can see it like a little flame moving from your heart and all the way out. Allow that to be your visualization as you move through this week, because that is going to repel, because that heart, the energy of the heart is protective and it's attractive, right? But ultimately, we need to bring that energy of the heart into the mind. And then we start to cultivate from that space. Where can I tell the story that I'm already worthy? Where can I remove the narrative that I have to do this thing, or be this way, or look this way, or perform this way, or act this way, or have to do all these fucking steps in order to be successful, or whatever it is. Your desire is inside of you. It is there like a burning fire inside of you. It is already there. It's just about making it bigger and making it brighter. And your job is to just make it bigger and brighter. And that's it. That's what we do in ritual. That's your only fucking job. Your only job is to listen and say yes. That is your only job. And allowing for that reverberation and that yes to transmute those antagonizing thoughts or ways that you were told that you couldn't or wouldn't, or are like wouldn't be that person to have that, right? Because that's what happens when we come into the vibration of what the heart can hold, right? The heart can move through so much. So with that said, reclaim your story, right? Reclaim your heart, reclaim your magic, reclaim your energy. Sometimes during that Mercury, when we have a Mercury, Cazimis are really powerful because they will shine so much light to something that is happening in your life that you literally have no choice but to break it down and break free from it. And so a lot of times it can feel like, especially Mercury retrograde, it can feel very chaotic. It can feel very ungrounding. It can just think about like all the moments, all the things that never were going right. Oh my God. And then you like break down, right? You break down, you cry, and you just fall apart. And then what happens after you break down? You're clear. Right? You're clear, you're rested, you can receive, you can listen. The clarity is there, right? And because we stopped fighting with ourselves and we allowed ourselves to feel, we allowed the heart to break through. And that is the space of courageousness and action that is coming through. You are not going to create a world, and a world that from your desire by doing the actions based out of fear. You're going to create a world that you desire by doing actions based from love. And whatever that fierce love action is for you, maybe it's fiercely honing your boundaries. Maybe it's fiercely recognizing the story that you're telling in your mind. Maybe it's fiercely recognizing the power you hold or the miracle that you are. That's the piece that you want to get to this week, because ultimately that's the piece that's going to transcend everything. And it's ultimately going to be the exact conduit to bring everything to you. So, with that said, that is going to be our week this week. Just no big deal. So think about that. Think about the antagon. I'm just going to be straight. It's an antagonizing thought that's happened again and again and again. And you're not going to move from this week with the same shit. That's just, it's not possible anymore, right? So I want you to think about that. If I didn't have this one thought or belief about myself, whether it is a narrative, something that happened to me, whatever it is, I want you to get to core root of it. If I didn't have the one thing, if I didn't have that little fucking pebble, who would I be? What would I be doing? What would happen in my life? And I just want you to pay attention to that, because if it hasn't projected on you yet, it's coming, right? If you haven't had an opportunity, it's like it's there, right? Just think about it. What is something that I can set myself free so much that it literally transforms every cell, every atom of my identity? I want you to think about that, because that's very powerful. So, with that said, make those moves. I'd like you to go ahead and focus on release work. I don't give a shit what anyone says on the internet, especially during a Mercury retrograde Cazimi on the 31st. You have an incredible opportunity to rewrite your story. Rewrite your story, like literally rewrite your identity. Come into the content, like the connection of your heart. And, as somebody would be like, oh, I don't need the heart, blah, 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 I'm a boss bitch, like whatever. The reality is the heart is where it's going to be at, right? The more that we can feel and hone in on that vision, that sacred vision, those desires come from here, right? They come from that. And that burning heart will push it all out and it will bring it into reality. It'll transform everything that is moving through the mind, and it'll transform everything in your life. But you have to be the one to say yes. You have to be the one to say yes and say, you know what? I'm going to set this story down. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to get curious and pull that pebble or thorn out of the shoe once and for all. The last thing that I want to say is August 1st, this weekend, waxing moon in Scorpio. Incredible time to reclaim your power. Like really incredible time. Really incredible time to do shadow work. If you're not familiar with shadow work is literally probably why I'm so successful. And when anytime, so I'm just give you a little tutorial on what shadow work is. Anytime we have a desire, right? Anytime we have a desire for something, what is the opposite shadow that stands in the way of it coming true? For example, I want you to think about the thing that you desire, the thing that you tell yourself not to desire because it's bad, or there's no way you could do that, or you're not the type of person to do it, or whatever bullshit we all spin. I want you to go to that desire and I want you to say, like, okay, that desire is mine. And if I just got delusional, that desire is mine. What shadow, what thought, or what part of me is going to be instantly triggered? And typically you can see this happen when you go for it and you start going for something. What's the first thing that happens? Your resistance, a chaotic event outside of you. Somebody projects. You're like, no, I'm not going to do that. Somebody says you're not to do it, right? All the things. So that's the piece right there. Right. So when we go into this weekend, shadow work is incredibly powerful for you to see. It's not just those desires that you have, those dreams that you have are so powerful. It literally triggers the shadow. And what it does is because, oh, well, if you're going to hold this light, therefore you need to move through all of this that says you are not that. Right. And that's how we work with ritual. So think about any thoughts if you have a big dream or desire, like really I'm getting it very clearly. It's like literally the type of desire that you have kept so secret in your heart and you've told yourself that you've not wanted. Like that is basically the piece for it. And so whatever you've told yourself that you don't truly want because you've been pushing it away or whatever it is, go there. But you know deep down you really want it. Ask yourself, what is the second piece? What is that second piece that tells me? What is the other piece? What is the other narrative? What's the shadow that instantly pops up and says why I can't have it? That's the piece you want to release this weekend. Like keep releasing it. Like I can feel it in my stomach. Like I can feel it for some of you guys. So it's like it's big. It's like right here in the solar plexus. I can feel it. And also solar plexus work, that's your inner sun. That's what Leo like really represents is our inner sun and our ability to create action, to create worlds, right? To shine, to have our will in the world. So if you've been feeling stuck or stagnated and you're doing this little spinny action, I want you to think about that. If I got so clear with my desire and I said yes fully to this desire, what is the shadow that pops up? And how can I spend the next few days getting curious about how the shadow has kind of wreaked, not havoc, but it's kept me safe, right? Shadows keep us safe. So this weekend, Mercury Cazimi, 31st. Then we have the first quarter moon on August 1st. That is Lammas, by the way, which is all about abundance, right? Lammas is all about abundance. It is one of the first, like the cross-quarter holidays about wealth. And so your ability to reclaim your wealth is actually through the shadow, is through following the fire of your desire to transmute the shadow of what you are holding or what we are all holding. So with that said, I'd like you to do some release work this week. Get clear with the antagonizing thoughts, open the fucking cupboards, pick up all the rugs of your mental, emotional, spiritual state, everything that just feels like it's just kind of been like this, right? And because subtle energy works like that, it's very subtle. You don't think that, that one thing that Sally said to you 3 years ago is still rambling around in your fucking mind, but it is, right? So it's just like, I want you to kind of get really curious. We don't need to shame ourselves about it. We're just going to get curious. Like, why am I thinking about what Sally said? Like, what was it about that just really bothered me, right? Like, what is that thing that keeps coming back? And I want you to get curious. And then what you can do is you can light a candle every day and you can just write it out and just like keep going, right? Keep releasing. If you can write at like do a candle every day from Thursday through Sunday, you're going to release some big shit. That's what I'm saying is like we like to ride the wave. And so I don't care what anyone on the internet says. The Mercury Cazimi is about releasing and rewriting your story. It's decluttering so that you can be free. That is it. If you were fully free, you would have already achieved that desire. That just is what it is. We all have resistance to the big desires in our heart because all of the things we're like, oh, how could we do that? Right? But ultimately, that desire is leading you to the center of your soul and it's leading you to the center of your power and it's leading you to miracles. That's what it's doing. So all this other stuff, it's just got to clear. That's all it is. It's not bad. It's not dangerous. It's just is what it is, and it probably was never yours in the first place. So with that said, light a candle, do your release work, start to write things out, whatever you can, just keep going with it, right? Whatever comes up. If some projection comes and you're feeling triggered about it, put that into the release candle, right? But whatever those things are, I want you to keep releasing it this weekend. And if you can't burn something every single day, then just write it down and like stand over the toilet and burn it into the toilet. Like I'll be at a festival all weekend. So with that said, like get curious and let that energy move because the more that you can let that energy move this weekend, the more you're going to come out of this like a motherfucking star. That's what I'm saying. Um how do you know the difference between your definitive path and a silly dream? That's a really good point. A definitive path will not let you rest. That's how it's like, oh, I just have a thought and then it goes away. Like building Vital Mystic, even though I was like failing hardcore for many years, the yes would just not go away. Like it literally would not leave me alone. And that's how I knew. That's like, it's kind of like that thing that is just like a tether, like a red thread or something. It's like I didn't have a choice. And it didn't matter how many times I failed. It didn't matter how many times I shook like a little chihuahua and I was so scared to do half the shit that I'm doing now just regularly. I kept going. And I didn't really, it's like I didn't have a choice. What was my other choice? To stop? Like, oh, I'm just gonna like get a job? Like, no. Like that's like, no. That wasn't it. Like, what's the other option? The only option is to lean in. And it's like everybody is ready on our different timelines, but you'll know. And I just want to say this, the shadow gets very, 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 very loud. It gets very loud before you're about to break through to another level. I just want to say that. So that's why the shadow work is very important. And if you don't see, like sometimes we take action and we're like, oh, then this is going to be it. But then we don't see that immediate result. You're just going to keep going, just take some rest, but like keep releasing because what's happening is you're recalibrating to receive more. And the rubber band of your nervous system of what feels safe to receive and be successful, that's learning to recalibrate too. That's why all the antagonizing shit is coming up. That's why all of that dust that's been cluttering or that stupid, pebble in your shoe or thorn in your side finally is starting to get your attention, it's because you can't go forward with that. You need to fully heal from that in order for your nervous system to feel safe to receive a desire and a reality you have never known, right? It's your ability of showing yourself you are safe. And it's also the ability for the universe to be like, hey, it's like, you're going to be okay, right? It's okay to trust. It's okay to lean in. My dreams have been wildly vivid the past few days, and residuals from a cord cutting still popping up, ready for the retrograde to end, 100%. I definitely would release any residual stuff this weekend too. Like, for example, sometimes there's just little things. So keep releasing that. If there's anything else that keeps popping up and it doesn't feel like it's fully gone, just keep burning. That's what I'm saying. Just keep burning because it's like, it's weird because like what I see is just like the tiniest little string, like the tiny, tiny, tiny little string, and you wouldn't even realize it's there, right? But it's a little string and it's like almost like a string from not just this life, but multiple lifetimes, right? So think about that. It's like if even if the tiniest little string is still there, we want to resist any stuff like that, we're going to keep clearing. So absolutely. Can this clearing apply to relationships too? Absolutely. Well, relationships are the most intimate things that we have, right? So absolutely apply that clearing to relationships, and apply it to yourself as well. Okay, I just want to ready for my mushroom breakthrough of a lifetime, 100%. Yeah, exactly. Mine's eating me alive and has been for years, but I'm afraid of it, I think, but it keeps knocking. Yes, exactly. So answer the door. If something keeps knocking, just know it can't do anything to you, right? It can't do anything. All it is going to set you free. You're powerful enough to create, you're powerful enough to face it. You're powerful enough to move through it. You don't have to go all the way down in there. You just have to acknowledge it. So here's another thing too, because I used to help people way before like I did all this. I used to help people with paranormal attacks, like gnarly stuff. And the issue is when we don't acknowledge it, right? Then when we're running away and we're scared and we're like, no, 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 don't come, because we're actually giving more power to it. And I'll just share a personal story. I was always very sensitive as a kid, and recently I've been getting like a lot of just weird, interesting, energetic attacks. And I felt it come on the other night, and I will share this with you because I think it's really important. But instead of getting scared in the paralysis dream, I was just like, literally was like, I'm gonna kill you. And like literally, and my entire body exploded with eyes. Like, I will not shit you. Like, this is a whole vision that I had a few weeks ago. And then I started to look up a lot of just kind of things about like light turning into 1,000 eyes. And there's a lot of symbology with that. So if you hold the image of your light with thousands of eyes and acknowledging things, right? Whether that's shadow or things or people that you're, whatever it is, the power to see something means that it has no power over you anymore, right? The power to face something, it means that it has no power over you anymore. So if you want to take that vision or whatever it is, like literally, I had never seen myself do this before. And then I started looking it up. And it talks about the eyes of God and the eyes of compassion. Because when we think about things, when we think about shadow in the world. All it is something that it has not received love, right? That's it. It needs to be seen. It needs to be recognized. It needs to like, not compassion and like, oh, I feel bad for you. I need to take you on. But like, it needs to like, the light shines out from you. So I really encourage that. Obviously, that was a very personal experience to share online, but literally that's like how powerful my visions are. And I just really, it was the first time in many months after like moving through for a lot of challenges that came through. And ultimately, if you want to take that vision or just see yourself expanding and a bunch of eyes moving from around you, then that is the space of protection. I also want to say it's probably like a visual to protect yourself from evil eye or anything like that. So yeah, just wanted to share that with you guys. I'm going to pop off here, but we do have a ritual series coming up. You can join us in the ritual series. It is going to be specifically about everything that I just shared on this live, about really rewriting your identity to receive wealth, and to instantly attract good things into your life. Basically kind of breaking the curse. So if you are interested in that, we're going to have that beginning August 11th. It will be on a day where Venus and Jupiter come together, and those two planets are the planet of expansion and the planet of love and money, and it will expand. So it's also the day that Mercury will go direct. So if you would like to join that, you can comment on any of my stories or posts, not in here because it won't trigger the automations, but you can comment 5D and we will send that to you. And we're going to be opening up spaces for it this Friday as well on Llamas. So I hope everybody has a wonderful day, and I'm wishing you an incredible and beautiful week. Do your shadow work, use the 1,000 eyes, and just keep releasing, and you're going to have an incredible breakthrough. So bye, everybody.